have food, you all have coffee, we're good for the morning, right? So this morning, Kate is here to talk about our health insurance and actually all of our insurances. Our insurance renews on December 1st, so Julie will give you a deadline to get all this information in. There are a couple things that I need you to know, and Kate's going to explain a whole lot more than I could ever, but one of them is about the cost of health insurance. Right now, you all pay a 10% of the premium cost. Last night at the board meeting, the board approved to go to 12% employee contribution to the cost of health insurance. And the reason for that is libraries and all public entities operate under Public Act 270, which says there's a maximum amount that the public entity can pay for health insurance. We have a very good plan here at the library, and this will be the last year that we can offer the plan that we have. In order to keep this good insurance for us for one more year, we have to have you provide an extra 2% of the premium cost. So just so you know that going in, the board did approve that last night, and that keeps us compliant with the law. They said we don't see that we have a whole lot of choice. And I said, well, you could not do it and break the law. And they said that's not a choice. So the board decided that that would have to happen. So just so you know that that's, we're trying to keep it as low as possible and trying to be as respectful of your dollars as well. So you know that. Kate from Edify North is here today.
Dan, can I make a point? So,
yeah.
Just so everybody knows, I forget the percentage, but health insurance went up overall what?
Health insurance is up 10%, or just over 10%, dental insurance will stay the same. There's some increase in cost in the other insurances as well, but the biggest jump was in health insurance. So
which
10%.
Which means that the organization is burdening an additional 8% plus.
Right.
So I think it's important everybody at the table understand that. It's not just us taking on 2 extra percentage. It's the organization also paying an extra 8% plus. So. Okay, thank you.
Thanks. So Kate Leslie is from Edify North. Edify North, in case everyone knows, Edify North is our agent who helps us do all that insurance stuff. And if you ever need assistance with the insurances of any sort, please call them. They are excellent to work with, and it's been a real pleasure. So Kate, take it away.
So I gave everyone a packet which is in front of you, and we're going to go through all of this kind of piece by piece, and it looks like a lot of information, and it is, but in the same token, it's a lot of good information that will step you through any questions that we might have here, any questions that you might have when you get home and you're discussing the packet with anyone else in your household. So we are going to first pull out the benefit selection sheet, and we're going to put that kind of to the top and to the side. That's the last thing we will talk about. You will be required to fill this sheet out regardless if you are signing up for benefits or not. So just keep that in mind, and we'll talk about that in a second. The basis of our conversation will be within the benefit summary book that we provided everyone. So if we can jump right into this. As Diane said, our information is right here in the front. It just shows who your providers are for your medical, your dental, and your ancillary. So we have Priority Health continuing with your HRA plan. And to kind of piggyback as well, for your medical plan that Diane was explaining that the cost has gone up a little bit for you. You are in a grandfathered plan with Priority Health. This plan is an extremely rare plan to have kept for another year, and it is an amazing plan. Out of all the clients that we have, your plan that you have within this library is absolutely amazing. You should feel grateful to have the benefits that the library does provide to you. Within that, you also have dental with Delta Dental, and you have your life and your voluntary, long-term, short-term disability with Principal. So we will go through that in a minute in the back. So moving on here, your open enrollment information. It says 2016 open enrollment information. And the first paragraph there just goes through the HRA plan. And to what Diane said is there's a slight increase due to the ACA requirement requirements that are being pushed on all insurance carriers and agencies at this time. The library is going to continue to offer dental with Delta Dental, the group, voluntary, short-term, long-term with principal. All of the information within all those benefits are here, so we'll go over them one by one.
So if I opted last year into additional life insurance, because this is a new plan, do I have to reapply or does that continue?
Everything will stay the same. No action is required from you at all. The only thing that you will have to do is if you are making a change to who is on your plan or the amount that you wanted to contribute to that insurance for your ancillary. But everyone is required to fill this out, even if you aren't making changes. And the reason we do this is just having a point to look at. If you were to call in, or if Diane were to have a question, or Julie were to have a question, we can say, from your benefit selection sheet, this is the information that we have on file for you. Okay.
Let me clarify that just a little bit. This is the document that we use to send over to payroll, and they say, okay, this is authorized to be deducted from your payroll. So while you're not changing your voluntary life, we still need to have it listed on here so that payroll knows that that deduction happens.
And I do have your rates with me. If anyone has any questions, we can meet after and take a look at what your rates are to ensure your sheet's 100%. I can leave those with Julie as well if you have questions or if you decide to increase anything. But now is the time to make any changes because you will not be allowed to make any changes. That brings us to the second section here, the notice of special enrollment rights. So this is the one time a year that you have the right to add someone to your plan that is a dependent or a spouse, or to take them off. If you do not do it now, and within 30 or 60 days you decide, shoot, I don't think that John should be on my plan, I want to remove him. You have to have a qualified life event to remove that person. And that life event is stipulated by the government as what a life event should be. So a marriage, a death, a birth, a gain of coverage elsewhere, loss of coverage elsewhere. And that's something that Edify can help you through as well. If you think that you might be coming into a life event and you need a change of insurance, then we can help you through that as well. So moving on to the next page, the enrollment directions, and this is something that we just went over with the benefit selection sheet. All employees must complete the sheet. Only a priority health change form or enrollment form. So you'll find a change form and an enrollment form in your packet if you're making a change or an enrollment. So what does this mean? In your medical plan, if you're making a change to your plan, so you and your spouse are on your plan now, but you're removing your spouse, you will do a change form to remove that spouse. You have a child, your child was on someone else's insurance, but you want to add them, you will be using an enrollment form because we need to gather other information for that. So they will be added to your existing plan. Because you are within the same medical plan, you will keep the same medical card. If you add someone, then they will get an additional card and that will come in the mail from Priority Health. Dental, a Delta Dental enrollment only needs to be completed if you're enrolling in the first time. Same situation as the medical. So if you're adding someone to Delta Dental, we can do so on our end. Or if you would like to remove someone, we can do so on our end as well. You just need to let us know that you need a change form for that. Life and disability. Most of you I've sat with during enrollment meetings or change meetings, so if you need something changed or you're adding something or someone, just let me know and we can do that. All right, so to get into the nitty-gritty of your medical plan, that's on your next page. So right now you have a point of service plan, HRA 81, and like I said, this is a grandfathered plan that the library is offering you. Within HRA, you will see there is an in-network and an out-of-network segment. Most of you will be within the in-network segment. It's always good to check if you're going to a new doctor on the Priority Health website to ensure that you are seeing that in-network doctor, to ensure that you're not having incurred costs that are more expensive than being in-network versus out-of-network. Your single deductible is $1,000, but the library absorbs some of that. So for you as a single individual enrolled, it is $250 for you. What does that mean? So that means if you go to the doctor, you are responsible the first portion before your plan really kicks in for that $250. And if you are a family, you'll see you're responsible for the $500. Once that amount is met, your co-insurance is met. So the plan pays 80%, which means you're responsible for 20% of your co-insurance. And that's where if there's expenses after the deductible's been met, you'll be responsible for 20% of those. Those funds also accumulate into your out-of-pocket max. So moving down to that third tier on that benefit summary in front of you, you'll see there's a single and a family out-of-pocket max. So if you're a single individual on a single plan at the library, you'll have to meet that $250 deductible for yourself, and then the single out-of-pocket max for the plan to be in 100% full force paying up to the $750. Now when looking at these buckets, you're thinking, wow, this is kind of a lot of money if I have a family. Well, actually, let's say you are in a family plan and you meet that bucket for yourself, the $250 bucket for yourself, and then you have extra incurred costs. The extra incurred cost also goes towards your single out-of-pocket max. It does not matter who meets it in what way, but each individual person as costs incurred are going to the $750 that you see for the single out-of-pocket max. When you go to the physician, if you are in-network, you will be paying $20 for the copay. A specialist such as a dermatologist would be $35. If for some reason you fall, break your arm, or you have kids and fall and break their arm, which I had last summer, $150. And then the urgent care copay is $75. Scrolling down a little bit, this is where you have the prescription summary. The prescription summary is based on the generic preferred, non-preferred plans for copays within the medical tiered spectrum. For your plan, if you were to go to Target per se and get an amoxicillin, usually that is a zero pay antibiotic. If you were to get maybe a Z-Pak, that would be a preferred brand antibiotic, so that's something that would fall within the $15 spectrum. You get into the second tier copays when you have cholesterol medication, heart medication, cancer medications. So something that we will talk about in a minute is how you can save money on your copays and finding the best way to find the best provider for your medications. So as Diane had mentioned, the costs are going up a little bit for the group, and you'll see the plan cost per pay period is outlined below. So $35.40 for singles and part-time A, and then you'll go to your doubles, $76.97, and your family rate of $95.29. The part-time A rate did increase a little bit as well. Is there any questions thus far? Okay. Flipping over is the credible coverage disclosure. The government says we have to provide this to you, so we do. This information is not pertinent to you unless you are over the age of 65 and on Medicare. So if anyone has questions on this, I'm more than happy to meet with them and talk through this disclosure. Okay. All right, discount prescriptions and good RX. So before I was in the insurance field and I received these packets at my employers, I thought, wow, why are they giving me this information? I'm not gonna look at this again. I will tell anyone who says, I have a cold, I have the flu, I have medication. I'm like, you have to go on GoodRx. You have to look up your medication. You are going to be able to save money. So the information we provided you just shows on the discount prescriptions where usually the offerings are a little bit cheaper for generic. So you'll see Walmart, Target, Meijer, and then some frequently asked questions for the generics. On the next page is where the holy grail, GoodRx.com. This is amazing. So I will have people call into the office and say, hey, listen, I have a chemotherapy drug and I have to pay $1,900 for this drug. They're in the last tier, they have a high deductible plan, they had unforeseen illness come on them. What do I do? So we can go on to GoodRx.com, and you can as well at home, and you can plug in any medication into this, and they will give you, Walmart has it for this much, Target, Walgreens, you can put your address in, and then sometimes there's an additional button at the bottom that says coupon me. You click coupon, and it will pop up, and you'll receive a coupon either for a free prescription or $50 off, $25 off. So, for example, you'll see in the news right now the EpiPens going on right now. So I have to have an EpiPen, my daughter has to have an EpiPen. So that's very expensive. And when they expire and you have these EpiPens, you're going to say, well, what am I gonna do now? So if you go onto this website, you can find coupons for that.
Is this just for generic or is it for?
It's for anything.
For anything.
Yep, it's for anything. And if you get on that website and you're looking and you're having a hard time, you can always call in and we can help you through it as well. All right, going on to your dental portion. So your dental services are with Delta Dental, and there was a question that came up yesterday with your max for Delta Dental. There was a couple individuals that said that they had reached their $800 max that you have on your plan, and they had to do additional cleanings, or their kids had something going on, and they said they were charged for their cleanings. They thought that that was preventative. So I wanted to let you know I contacted Delta Dental yesterday, and they verified that if you are at your max, you will be charged for your preventative cleanings. Even though your preventative cleanings are listed as preventative, you are charged for them, and that comes out of your max. So if you have to get anything done over that $800 and you think it's preventative, if you want us to check on that, we're more than happy to do that for you. This year, you're not seeing any change, and the library covers this benefit at 100%. So moving down to the principal information for your ancillary, you have life and AD&D insurance. So Herrick provides regular full-time employees with this at no cost to you. With any of your benefits that you have, the long-term and the short-term are also at no cost to you for the library. And if you want to go over that in further detail, I have information for you on that. The only thing that you would have to make a change to if you wanted to make a change is your voluntary life. So I have the voluntary life rates that you have right now. If you wanted to increase that, you could, and you may be subject to medical questions if you were to do that now because you're not a new hire. Okay. So in your packets, when you look at your summary of benefits, this year the union and non-union summary of benefits were combined. So both of those packets are in there. Just ensure if you are reading through your summaries that you're looking at the correct one. On the top in the main header, it will say union, the other one says non-union, and they're clipped together for you. So looking at your short-term disability, if you become sick, something happens where there's an accident, and you need to go on short-term disability, the library says you have 30 days from the date of injury. So you have to be off for 30 consecutive days before your short-term disability policy will kick in. I know that you do have PTO time, so if you have that, you are available to use that. Once you are done with your short-term disability, which would be a maximum of 48 weeks, you're able to roll into the long-term disability if you do qualify. So that should be a seamless policy. If you are rolling from short-term to long-term disability, either you can return to work if you get better, or you're on long-term disability to the age of 65. So with the long-term disability, it pays 60% of your monthly disability earnings up to $3,000. And again, that's up to age 65 if you do need that, okay?
Does the amount of PTO we have in our bank affect that in any way, shape, or form?
You know, with your PTO right now, you probably have to use most of your PTO before going on your short-term disability. Diane, do you know how remaining PTO? I don't know how your PTO policy.
So according to the employee handbook and the union contract, both, with any PTO that you have, and for those of you who have been longtime employees, sick leave as well, you have to use up all of your PTO and all of your sick leave before you go on short-term or long-term disability. The amount of PTO that is accrued during that leave is not available for your use during that leave. So everything that you have in the bank before you go on disability, or before you go on disability, has to be used up.
Thank you.
Is there any other questions on the disability? Okay. So we can move on to the remaining portion of your packet. So you will see a green form, and that was after your benefit booklet. The green form is your summary of benefits that we went through within your booklet, and this just shows what your medical plan consists of. So we had a gentleman in here yesterday that was saying that his wife just went through open enrollment and he wanted to know the best way to compare plans with his wife this weekend. So my suggestion to him was to put the summary next to his wife's summary and take a look and compare and contrast. So if that's something that you need help with, we're more than happy to help you, and that's a really good way to look through your materials to kind of see if this plan is something that you want to continue with or comparable to your spouse's plan. When I had talked about Delta Dental, that's your next summary that was in there, and you will see with the Delta Dental summary, we had talked about that $800 max, and that's listed there. With the Delta Dental, the biggest thing is that you are using a Delta Dental in-network doctor, or in-network dentist. With Delta Dental, you will get what's called balanced billing. So if you go to a dentist and they say, we participate, they may participate, but you want to make sure it's the same network. So you will pay an upgraded fee if you are not using a Delta Dental dentist. And this is something that we get a phone call on a lot, and I know that there was a couple questions in the other meeting yesterday about this, so I wanted to make sure that it's a simple call to your dentist just saying, hey, are you in-network participating with Delta Dental? And they can look up your plan as well if you have further questions. And of course, we can always help you. You will see those clipped items, and this is just those summaries for principal, and this is the summary for your life, short-term, long-term, and voluntary plans in here. Doing a little more of a deep dive into who your carrier is, Priority Health. As I said, last year my daughter broke her arm. There is something in here called MedNow. I would not use MedNow for a broken arm. I would have to bring my daughter to urgent care. MedNow is a telemedicine portal that you can use. So if you're at home, it's a Saturday, and you're just feeling really cruddy and you think, I really do need an antibiotic. What do? I don't want to get out of my pajamas. You can use MedNow. So it's a video visit that you're able to log into, and it's a flat fee, which is really nice, and you can set up and do like a Skype. So you can do this on your phone, or you can do it on an iPad, and you can speak to a doctor. Obviously, this is limited, and sometimes children's illnesses are, kind of funny because earaches, things like that. But with the common cold, or if you feel like you have a flu or something that you need an antibiotic for, where a doctor could easily talk to you over a video chat, this is a really great option. 9 times out of 10 too, that this is going to be a cheaper visit for you than going to an urgent care or going even to your doctor for a visit, because you're going to have to pay that office copay. Moving on, you'll see.
This is done directly through Priority Health?
Yes.
So do you know what flat fee is?
For this, you'll pay the same copay that you would under your medical plan.
Oh.
And you'll see it's a Michigan certified Spectrum Health provider. So when you start I just did it for myself 2 weeks ago. I woke up, I'm pretty sure I had a sinus infection, wasn't feeling great. It was a Sunday morning, didn't want to go to urgent care. Set up the appointment, you call the 800 number, and they'll you talk to someone, you tell them what your symptoms are, give them your basic information, and they'll say, okay, here's the time for your appointment. You get an email, make sure that you have a camera available and technology, and so I sat on the couch with my laptop, held the camera up to my throat so the doctor could look at my throat. It looks a little weird if you're by yourself and you're trying to, for me, I was holding the laptop and trying to shine the flashlight from my phone in my throat, so it was a little awkward. And then it'll be processed. You don't get a bill that day or anything. It's processed through your insurance, and you'll get a bill later on.
So I've done it twice, but I don't know if I've done it through this process. I've done it through my MD, who's in Spectrum Network.
Yes, yes.
Is that the same?
It's not. It's very similar.
Because I don't remember them ever asking for a credit card.
Yeah.
That's what was confusing.
Right. Yeah.
So are they not charging, but this one is?
No. Again, you won't get a bill. They didn't take a credit card for me either, and I have an HSA. There's no copay. It would just be like, so today, if you go to your doctor's office, they're going to have you pay the copay right there. What they're going to do is process the claim behind the scenes. So you should get a bill for the copay, but it'll be after the fact. It won't be at that time. Okay. But they do say sometimes make sure you have a credit card available. I haven't ever experienced it where they ask for that information up front either.
And I've done the light down the throat.
Yeah, it's a little awkward, but
That's very awkward.
I'm looking at your chin right now. Can you move it?
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
So if you have something more more severe, someone has something a little more severe, and you have to do, let's say a CT scan or an MRI, if you take a look at this folder, it's in the back of your big priority health folder. You have to go in for one of these services. You might as well get rewarded for going in. So, for example, my husband had to have a CT scan. So we went on to his priority health portal, and he shopped for the best place to go that was least expensive within our network and scheduled his CT at that place. He received a $50 gift card for doing that. So within this, you will see on the right-hand side, there's rewardable services. These services are rewardable, but if you just go and do it, it's not going to be rewardable to you. You actually have to go out into your Priority Health portal, log in, and you have to shop for the services within the portal and say, okay, I'm seeing that there's 3 doctors here, and Dr. Smith is the cheapest. I'm going to go ahead and go with him. And then when you go and the billing happens, Priority Health will send you a gift card. It's pretty seamless and it's pretty awesome. Is there any questions about this?
You ever find the cheapest doctor is the best doctor?
They do, so that's one of the, yes, for the cynics in the room, are they pushing you towards quality care, right? Priority Health used to have what they called the Apple score, and you would see apples, but usually it's a combination of their scores and member scores. They did away with that system, so you won't find quality of care information, but what I would recommend is there's other websites that do that, and just check. Note though that the majority of the providers, not always the case, but the majority of the providers that are going to be typically the most cost effective are ones that are affiliated within their system, and so they're typically also the most prominent and you know who they are, but you need to use a third party to verify any quality information.
Which I do.
So I had said log onto your portal. The instructions on how to get to your My Health account are also in there to get set up if you're not already set up. And I don't know if some of you have used the My Health. So yeah, it's really awesome. You can talk to your doctor through that portal as long as they're an in-network participating provider. You can email back and forth. For example, probably about a month ago, I needed a refill on a prescription and I thought I had one. I did not. So I just simply went to My Health. I requested another refill through there and my doctor responded, and I got a call from Walgreens even before I got a call from my doctor's office back saying that they actually filled it. It's a great communication tool if your doctor's office is busy because someone's required to check their portal.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I use
Isn't
it
it?
all the time. Not that
Yeah.
I'm sickly, but yeah. It's awesome.
Okay, you will also see that change form, so we talked about that earlier. If there's something that you need to change to your plan, that is in there. We had talked about the enrollment form, which we already went over earlier as well. So if someone is not on your plan and you need to get enrolled, or if you are not enrolled right now, this is something that we would need from you. So last but not least, I had said please set that benefit selection sheet aside so we can take a look at that as well. Looking at the benefit selection sheet, we do, as Diane said, need this for your payroll purposes. You'll see on the back there is also a disclosure statement saying that you do understand that the materials made available to you included everything you need to make a good, healthy choice about your medical plans. And then you'll also see there's a beneficiary designation. So if you want to change or you've never designated anyone as a beneficiary, this is the place to do it. Okay? Is there any questions on this form, on the medical packet, anything like that? I also had Julie make additional copies here. This was a big question yesterday. Priority Health, since vision is not offered through the library, has a discount plan through iMed. And a lot of people were asking about this. This is a sheet, and you can also find this on that My Health page as well. It will give you a rundown of this if you lose this form. It's a discount through Priority Health, being that you have your medical plan, and they partner up with iMed. So you'll get discounts on frames and exams. You have to go to an iMed participating provider, and that's something you can find online as well at Priority Health and on iMed. So if anyone would like one of these, you're more than happy to take one of them. An electronic version sent to Julie yesterday as well. but I know that this was a big takeaway from yesterday, so I wanted you to have it.
No, I just got a discount at my eye doctor. I just gave him my medical card and
Okay.
only paid
Yep.
copay or something.
Yep, it's a $15 copay for your exam,
Okay.
which is really nice, and you can get the dilation
Not
sometimes.
with that though, it was right through the priority.
Right,
Yeah.
because it's included within your medical, it's a
Okay.
discount program, and it's embedded, baked right into your medical plan.
Okay.
So if you give them your medical card, they'll be able to look that up and see if you're at an IMAD participating provider, which you were,
Okay.
and get that discount. Is there any other questions?
I have a question. Back on this form, when we fill this out, and it's asking for the beneficiaries, do we have to list the beneficiaries even if they're not changing?
If they are not changing, you do not need to list them. But do take a look at it and make sure that you know who's listed as your beneficiaries. But no, if we have the information, that's fine.
If we list the name, do we still have to do Social Security? If we already have that?
If we already have it, we probably already have it, and we don't need it. Because I know that can be a challenge to get.
With the beneficiary information, I know it's challenging to track down that sometimes, and so if you're confident that the information is current, that's fine. What the insurance company does is so life insurance isn't fun, right? In order for your beneficiaries to get the information, you would have to pass away. If you were to pass away, the life insurance company would come back to the employer and say who's listed on file. If there isn't anybody, then we'd have to deal with that process. If you have someone but we don't have a social security number, there's two Bob Smiths, we have to track down that information. If you're not confident or you have any questions, if it's changed, then I would encourage you to fill out the information. There was a court case just this year. I know those of you that have sat through my meetings, I always share every year that the guy that got divorced and didn't take his ex-wife off his policy and he passed away and the ex-wife got the money, not the new wife. And there was a court case in Michigan just this year where that exact thing happened. And the judge upheld the last beneficiary form, not the new wife. So it's always a good idea to update, but if you're confident, then don't worry about it.
I just get skittish about the Social Security because, I had my Social Security identity stolen a long time ago. And I have an IRS document that says, do not put your Social Security number on anything, and everybody's asking for it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how many times do I need to put that down?
So what the
that's why I
insurance
was
company is
checking.
gonna do is to verify they have the right person. If you don't wanna put the full number, you could put between name, the last four, the date of birth, and what else is it asking for, the relationship. I think between that information, they would be able to verify who it is. What they're trying to do is, even in one family, you may have two people with the same name. They wanna make sure that they're getting it to the right person, so.
Okay.
You can limit
So
that as much as
partial
you want.
number.
Yeah.
Fine. Last four, that's fine.
Yeah.
So one other thing on the beneficiaries as we're talking here, this form does not cover MERS at all, but some of you may have had life events this past year, and you want to change your beneficiary coverage for MERS as well. So consider that as well, and let us know if we need to update that. We have forms that are available for updating MERS information as well. And then the last thing on MERS, I know that we had an education session not too long ago about 457s and MERS, and so it's always a good time to think about that when you're doing all of these changes and thinking about next year, so consider that as well. So if you need any of those forms, they're available in the office.
Julie's gonna go through your FSA plan that you have. So I know a couple of you had asked me about, well, my vision plan has been, or my vision expenses have been really high this year, and that's something that Julie will be able to include in the FSA portion that she's gonna go over now for you.
So our FSA plan, which is the flex spending account, is separate from the Edify Norm, so that's why we're gonna present that as a separate piece. We run this program through Kushner. It's the same group that the city uses. They're a really good group. We've kept with them for a couple of years, at least as long as I've been here. The glory of FSA is that you can stock money away specifically for your medical side of your flex spending. You can stock that money away throughout the year, but let's say on January 3rd, something really crazy happens and you have to end up in the hospital and you have to pay your $750, you have to get all those out-of-pocket costs and everything. This will pay ahead. So your flex spending, your medical flex spending will pay out at any point during the year, even if that money hasn't been taken out of your payroll yet. So that's kind of the nice part about the medical side, like if you need to have something done early on in the year and this money is going to be there throughout the year, this will pay knowing that that money will be there throughout the year. I just got off the phone with our representative at Kushner, and she said that we are going to get the debit cards issued this year, which is so nice, because in the past what we've had to do is collect all of our receipts and fill out the form, or you can do it online, and then you have to submit it, you pay up front, and then you get reimbursed. Now you're just gonna have the debit card to swipe and go. The two things that you need to remember if you sign up for the flex spending, if you use the debit card, if you're at a eye doctor or a dentist, you're going to have to submit that receipt for proof of reimbursement. It'll still pay out, but Kushner's gonna come back to you and say, I need to have this receipt to prove that this is what this was from. If you go to a doctor's office, there's a special coding that comes through, and they know that if you pay $20 at Dr. Smith's office, it's fine. You don't need to have a reimbursement, that's your copay. So if you use your flex spending card and you're at America's Best or RX Optical or your dentist, make sure that you still get that detailed receipt, because you're gonna need to submit that to prove to Kushner that you did use it for a medical expense. We found out yesterday after the meeting that the maximum for the health side is $2,600 this year. It went up by $500. So you can designate to take that out through all your pay periods. You can take out just what would be the out-of-pocket costs for the medical, if you want to do it that way. If you know that you're going to have some kind of procedure this year, you can kind of project what you're going to need. I strongly encourage this. I've used flex spending for years. It lowers your taxable income, so that's another great benefit of it. But it also is just kind of, I told Aaron Davison yesterday, it's like a Christmas club for health savings, because you're stocking that money away and it's there. So like if you have a lot of prescriptions, at the end of the year, we can carry $500 over. I clarified this yesterday, and that's current for this year. So if anybody in here has the flex spending this year too, $500 will get carried over. That's in addition to the $2,600 for next year that you're able to sock away. So that basically would give you 26. Why can't 30? Thank you. 26. Yeah, my coffee. So that would give you $3,100 for that number for next year. So if you guys want to sign up, I've got the sheet here. I need this on the same date that you turn your medical insurance in, all your stuff from Edify. There is also the dependent care side. Not too many of us have kids in dependent care. I'll look right at you, Mary. There's a dependent care side. And that, with the dependent care, the reimbursement only comes out as the money is put in. That's the difference. That's a major difference between the two. But I strongly suggest the medical flex spending, because it's a great benefit that we're able to take advantage of as well. Does anybody have questions about that? Of course. Pete.
So if we change from Kushner to somebody else, does the $500 roll over? Is that right?
I'm gonna guess it probably would, because I know that Kushner, when the BPW went to Benny World and we were able to toss money over, they did a transition for us. So it's really the HR to HR would have to coordinate that. We're not switching.
Kushner is the administrator for your flex plan, and there's a lot of administrators out there, like you mentioned, and we've had a lot of clients that have transitioned administrators this year. And so, yes, if come next year you transition to a different administrator, the funds aren't lost with the previous administrator. Anything that would roll over into the new account. It's just a process of getting those funds into the new account.
And anything above that $500, you do have to use that or you lose that. Now you do get later into the year to be able to submit those receipts, but really your only safe bet to roll over would be the $500. Does that make sense?
Is there a minimum?
A minimum that you,
Yeah.
like, if you had $3 left?
Yes, like we've never done this, but I'm
No.
thinking like, would vitamins and stuff all count for that?
Well,
Or
so
is it just over-the-counter stuff, or not, prescription
that
stuff?
thing that I scanned and emailed to you yesterday,
Yeah.
that document, Liz had asked for that, that's the whole document full of
Okay.
eligible expenses.
Okay.
And it used to be, and the way that one year it was like an early Christmas, I was at the end of the year and I had so much money left, and I went to Meijer and stocked up on Band-Aids and
Oh,
vitamins, but they really changed what you can spend that on now.
okay.
You can get over the counter as an eligible expense, however you need to have a prescription from your doctor for it now. So for example, my husband takes Prilosec over the counter. We can use flex funds or HSA funds, either one, as long as you have a prescription for that. If you don't have a prescription, you can't use over-the-counter drugs anymore.
And what our Kushner rep just was telling me on the phone, you know, like if you go to Meijer, a lot of times it'll say like flexible spending, eligible expenses, and it'll show you a dollar amount. Like that will itemize on that receipt what's gonna be eligible. So then if you didn't use your swipe card for that, then you would basically just save that receipt, fill out, there's a whole claim form, and then you submit it, yeah. But with the debit card, it's like a life changer, with flex spending, it's so handy. So yeah, I have the newsletter. Now this newsletter it doesn't mention the debit card in here because I just clarified that with her that we are gonna get that. So there's a different newsletter that will come along, that I'll send out. If you sign up for it, I'll send you the new newsletter. I'll send you an electronic copy of the eligible expenses. That way you'll have all of that. So I'm gonna leave these up here if you guys wanna sign up. Papers are here.
Here's the vision too. Well, if you guys don't have any other questions, or if you would want to ask a one-on-one question, that's fine too. The information on this form, if you're not making any changes, or if you are making changes and you need to turn in anything, it needs to be into Julie, please, by November 4th. Thank you.
If you change flex by dropping it, you don't have to do anything, or is it just the flexes every year, so therefore you just won't fill it out?
No, you have to renew it. You have to fill out the form.
No, if I don't want to renew it,
Oh, then no.
I just don't have to do it.
Yeah.
I don't have to turn it off, I just don't fill it
Right.